Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on working with the 3D window. My name is Shadia Serrano and I will be your host today. Since the 3D window can be a really useful tool during all the different phases of a project, today we would like to explore some of the new version 10 3D window functionality in the context of a wind farm road project. Of course, I would like to clarify that all of the concepts and functions can be applied to many other kind of projects, not only wind farms. Before we get started, I would like to mention a few pieces of housekeeping. First, I would like to welcome our presenters. We have here Dave Mills, who will be doing the heavy lifting of the presentation, and also we have Jay Chen, who is the engineer behind many of these new 3D functions that you're going to see today. Welcome, guys. If you have questions, please ask away. You can use the Q&A section in your GoToWebinar panel. We're going to tackle all the answers at the end. And if we run out of time, of course, we will contact you by email with an answer. If you are watching this webinar already posted on our YouTube channel, feel free to leave a comment with the question and our support team will reply as soon as possible. Okay, let's get into it. So today's webinar is going to be broken into 3 phases of design. The first one will be the preliminary design, then we will move to the detailed design phase, and we will end with the presentation phase. It will mostly concentrate on functionality of the 3D window in the context of each. For the preliminary design, we will look at how to drape the plan window image on a 3D model. Also, how to add and work with the 3D symbols. And last but not least, how to edit in 3D. For the detailed design phase, we will look at the 3D window control and also on how to better visualize of multiple surfaces. And for the last one, which is the presentation phase, we will look at the merging location design into a terrain, how to cut a hole in a terrain, and setting up a flyby drive-through in the 3D window. And with this brief introduction, I would like to introduce Dave.
Thank you, Shadia.
Thank you.
And it looks like I'm sharing my screen. Is that correct?
It's correct. We can see you.
Very good. Okay, so here we have the terrain module, and we've got a plan window on the right and a 3D window on the left. And the 3D window allows me to see the shape of this LiDAR surface. Now, this LiDAR surface is roughly 1 meter resolution, so it's pretty detailed, certainly good enough for doing road design and pad design for the wind farm. And we have a feature here with the wind farm. Oops, I selected the contour. This feature, it's just not being very cooperative. There we go. It's called tower location. And this feature is a collection of points which came from a surveyor who was choosing the location of the tower. So if we look at those coordinates, we can see, the XY coordinates of all those points. Now I'd like to see something on my 3D window so I can look at those points. Now you can see them if I select the current point. If I select any of these features, the current point appears on my 3D, but the rest of the features are kind of hard to see. I'm a little bit lost. So first of all, in the 3D window, turn on track mouse. It's almost always a good idea, but unfortunately it doesn't default on. Once track mouse is turned on, then I can move around in the plan window and I can see my cursor in the 3D window, and the converse is true. When I'm moving in the 3D, although my cursor is kind of hard to see in the plan window. Okay, so track mouse, there's tower number 1, that's the current point. There's tower number 2 over there, there's tower number 3 over there. Okay, here's a new feature in version 10, 3D symbols. So I've selected a feature that contains, looks like 10 towers, and I'm going to add a symbol. So I've got a symbol in the plan window. Here's the new 3D symbols, and these are wind turbines. So let's add a wind turbine symbol, apply, and there they are. You can immediately see them in the 3D window. Well, that's pretty easy. There's a collection of symbols that are available for a 3D display. Trees are nice for trying to represent forests or obstructions in your road view. And there's a few other basic symbols. And likely we'll be adding to this list over time. Now I'd like to show you how you can drape the image on, or any image really, on the 3D. So my plan window now has a nice air photo in the background. That was actually created using the Live Maps import, and I've also got contours on there. If I select those contours, they immediately appear in the 3D window. So the 3D window can display features, but there's an option. We've added a new option to turn features on and off for display in 3D. So contours can be displayed or not, or any feature. Once you've selected it, you can choose whether that feature is displayed in 3D or not. This one has it turned on, so I see it in the 3D window, even when it's not selected. Selected features always appear, and the whole plan image, the actual image representation of the plan window, can also be displayed as a draped plan image in the 3D window. Now my image resolution is about 1 meter per pixel, so this is a reasonable resolution to choose. And if I do that, you can see the 3D window now looks like the plan window, except it's draped in a three-dimensional representation. Of course, the plan image doesn't go everywhere. It has an edge, and that's the edge we're seeing right here. It depends on your zoom. So if I zoom in too much in the plan, and then actually zoom out is the place where it starts to get kind of weird. You can see that in the 3D window, oh, it's not doing it for me today. I'm just going to update it. There, you see the lines are thicker now. So that's because I'm zoomed out too much in the plan, and the line thickness depends on the scale. So there's a little bit of fiddling to get it to look exactly the way you want. The other thing you'll notice is a bit of a performance degradation. If I'm trying to rotate or pan the screen around, it takes a little bit longer when I've got the 3D image draped with the plan image. Let's turn that off. I don't think it's too useful for what I want to show you next. So back to 3D options, let's turn that one off. Notice you can also turn features on and off. So currently I've got that orange feature displayed, which represents the alignment. And if I turn that off, then all features disappear in the 3D window. But if you want to turn them on and off one at a time, you can do that in the plan window. And as I mentioned, selected features are always displayed in the 3D window. And you can turn on the display checkbox here for the selected features, and then they will permanently be displayed even if they're not selected. So there we go, the contours are now displayed in there. Right, so for the next step, I'd like to drape a feature that represents a road that goes from here on my main orange road up to there to my wind farm tower, to the turbine tower. Now, of course, we can draw a feature in plan window, but new to version 10, we can draw in the 3D window itself. So if I create a new feature, and it's going to be a draped feature, I want it to follow the ground for now. I'll call it spur 3, and I think that's all I need to do. Must be displayed in 3D, that's important, and I'll draw it with the mouse. So yeah, I can draw it in the plan window, but now I can also draw it in the 3D window. So let's start right about here and move over to there, and now it's draped on the surface. I can see it, and let's continue over to there. I've drawn a little feature in the 3D window. I can add points in the middle just like you can in the plan window. You can capture points, hit the delete key to get rid of them. Basically, you have the same drawing functionality in the 3D window as we do in the plan window. And that's now a draped profile. Looks like this. And now I can go and design this in the location module. So let's jump over to the location module. Now I've already done all this work. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but we've got 2 roads in here, H align 1 and spur 3, and there's a couple of extra alignments used to create these wide sections. Here we've got a widening in the spur road to make a platform, and it's a very wide platform. It's 50 meters, 60 meters wide to hold the tower. You can kind of see the symbol there. It's yellow, which is probably not the best color choice. We have 3D in the location module. Let's look at the 3D window. So there it is. And all the alignments are visible. Let's look at the 3D options for the location. So the alignments are the current design features, and there are some controls here. And you can also see surfaces. The LiDAR 1 meter is a surface. I'm displaying it as gray. I'm also making it transparent. That's important. We'll see that in a second. Okay, I don't need to change it. It's good. It's partially transparent. Now I would like to see those towers. So the towers are in a separate terrain. All I need to do is turn that on, and the 3D symbols that are in that terrain appear in my location design 3D window. Now what about the surfaces that I'm designing here? What about my road cross-section surfaces? Can I display them? In version 9, that was kind of automatic. Now you have choices as to what you want to display, and you can change the color for each road too. So we don't have any alignment corridor surfaces in here now. We've got the original ground. There's a couple of background terrains in there as well. I'm going to add some new surfaces to the location. This dialog is available from various places, and I click on add here and add a corridor surface. That will create a surface based on any of my alignments, and I can choose any layer in the alignment. I'll just choose the final merged surface, and then I can pick a color, and that will be my 3D color for display in various places, mostly in the 3D window. And I don't need transparent, that's good. You can also give it an optional description. So it's making a corridor based on the road design, and it will be displayed in the 3D window. Oh, I might as well add a corridor for the spur road while I'm at it. Should have done that first. So let's jump back in here and add one more corridor for the spur road. There it is. Give it a slightly different color, and again, a description. The 3D in location also has track mouse. We can turn that on and off. It usually makes sense to have it turned on. And now I can go through, and there's my 2 corridors that I just created. And this one, I think it picked up the same draping or the same transparency as the background, so I'm going to change that. And this one is not transparent. Fine. Okay. So now I've got a pretty good representation of the final design surface, and I can even see the original ground poking through my design surface in this zone here. So the gray, which is transparent, I'm looking through it to see the yellow of the pad. And so this area here is obviously cut because we have to remove that material that's sticking up. And here it's fill, we're over top of it. So I've got a nice 3D representation of my design. And if I make any changes to my alignments, these are dynamic. They will update. So let's just do a quick alignment change on the spur. It's my current alignment. Why don't I just make a small change here? I'll just modify this point a little bit and recalculate. And there you go. You can see the 3D updated. I think I screwed something up in the vertical alignment when I did that. Yeah, it took out my vertical curve, so I'll just undo it. My vertical curves were created with our optimizer, so they were all back to back. Didn't give me any room to move around. Now, I'm pretty much finished with location. One thing that you can do in both location and terrain is do a drive-through. So if you have the particular road selected, it's just a right-click menu item, and there we go. There's the spur road, and let's just move that out of the way. You can see what it would look like to drive through it. We start with a bit of cut, and we're actually going through the original ground surface there. Now we're up above it, and there's our tower, and we're getting onto the platform, and now we're driving through that material that we've cut. So the 3D surfaces in the location allow you to display multiple surfaces, transparency, colors, helps you visualize what you're doing while you're designing plans, profiles, cross sections. Let's flip back to the terrain module and do a little bit more visualization for maybe for a final presentation. Oh, too soon to switch back. Let's go back to location for a sec. Now these surfaces have been created. I'm going to export them so that I can do more work in the terrain later. So you can export anything in the location as a terrain file. And I've already created these two here. Let me just in case I mess up, I'm just going to call it demo. So I'm going to export the spur road as a terrain. I'm going to be a little bit careful about which surface or which alignment you're actually choosing when you export. And I'm choosing the spur 3 alignment, and I want to make a surface. I put in a few reference features or point codes to go as linear. I think they're break lines too, yeah. Oh no, I didn't put in break line there. I'm including my culverts. I'm going to make a tin model. So there's a bunch of options you can set up, and it does remember what they are. So once you've set that up and done one export, it will remember that for the next export. And there's all the line work I exported, and it looks like this in 3D. So there's the finished surface, ready to be used for whatever purpose. Now that I have that on my hard drive, I can insert it. Now we will go back to the terrain module. I can insert it into my terrain in various ways. The first thing we can do is we can merge it in. And by merging, what I would do here, I won't actually go through this process because it's quite slow. There's a lot of points in this model, like around 2 million, and there's quite a few cross sections in my export, so merging them takes a little while. But what this allows me to do is to take the Spur 3 terrain and insert it in here, cut a hole and insert that. There's an option to simply cut the hole and do nothing more. And I'll show you the results of both of those operations. That'll be this one. So the line work from the road is inserted into my LiDAR data. And if we look in the plan window here, and I select all the features, you can see that and it does that in the 3D too, you can see that the LiDAR points don't exist inside the road edges. Only the road points exist. So that's typically what happens when you do a merge. And the result is something that looks like this. So we've got the original LiDAR data out here, the designed road in here, and you can see we've got a composite surface that represents the designed finished constructed road. And in the case of leaving a hole, well, it just does that. There's a hole here. There's no surface there, surface on either side. And I did have to bring my tower back because when it cut the hole out of the model, it also cut the tower out. So I put that back in. Now we've got a place to put in a background surface. So I'm going to go into my options here, add a background. You can do it from the plan window too, plan window options. And let's display that exported Spur terrain, not the location design, but the exported location design. It's a surface, and I can add it to my background list, and then in 3D I can choose how to display it. So I can turn the features on and off, and I can turn the triangles on and off. So let's make it orange, and I can choose whether it's transparent or not. Because there's a hole here, I don't need it to be transparent. Opaque works great. And I don't even need the features, but I'll leave them on for a sec. We can turn them off and I'll show what that looks like. So there, you can see the designed surface is a different color because it's actually a different surface, and it's filling up the hole that we left for it. And again, the options, for just that one, I can turn off the line work if I want. And the line work remains for the foreground surface, but not the background. So now I've got some control over how I display things, both in colors and line types and so on. And this might end up in a document or a video or something that illustrates what you wanted to do. And again, in the terrain module, you can do a drive-through. So I can select the centerline feature. Actually, it's already selected, and just go into the drive-through options here. Unfortunately, it takes a little bit of time for this. The drive-through tends to be kind of choppy and inconsistent in velocity if you don't go through this process. And this is quite a long alignment, so it's taking a little bit of time. And there it is. And for some reason, it's a bit slower in the in the terrain module. I think it's because of the large background surface. But you can speed it up here by skipping frames. And there we go. There's our drive-through. You can see the tower, windmill symbols going by. Fine. And it's called drive-through flyby. So how do you do a flyby? Well, the trick is instead of picking an alignment that follows the ground, you pick an alignment that's up in the air. So I created one, and I'm just going to insert it. It's in this terrain here. So I've created two features which are sitting across. There we go. And if we look at those in the profile window, you can kind of see what I did. We need one more feature in here. That one. Okay. There we go. So this top feature, I actually drew it in the profile window. You know, you can edit this thing, right? And once you've created a path, and you can edit the horizontal shape in the plan and the vertical shape in the profile, then you can use that as your alignment when you do the drive-through. So the selected feature is the alignment, and it's fly path right now. So when I do the drive-through, that's what I see. And now you'll see we'll go up in the air and get a bird's eye view of the towers and so on as we fly over that path. Would be nice to make a video of this, and of course you could do that with screen capture software, but we do plan to build it into the software in the future. Well, thank you so much for watching our webinar today, and now it's time for questions. Has anybody got a question that I can answer for you?
Yes, we do have a couple of questions. The first one is going to be, can you do a drive-through as if it was a drone?
As if it was a drone?
Yes.
Absolutely, but you will have to imagine the drone's path and do some editing to give it the direction and altitude that you want. There, I've just modified that path. So if I did the drive-through now, it would follow that new path. And I think, let me go into drive-through options. I think there's some options here for changing the direction you're looking. Yeah, you can put in a target object, I'm not sure if you can change the direction you're looking. You may always be looking ahead along the path. Hope that answers your question.
So the other question is, are you able to edit an alignment in 3D in location module?
No, you can't do that yet, but we have been working on it. And yeah, you know, Jay could probably answer this question. We've been working on that in our development, our software development here at Softtree, and perhaps Jay could answer that question.
Yep, I think I can answer that question. And so, like, yeah, we are working on that one, and so, like, trying to make the 3D editing works in the location. Let me share my screen. So so you guys can see my screen.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so I got a file open, so you can see I got the plan view, and so I got the 3D view for the location. And so, yeah, I'm gonna just give you a quick preview about what we are working on right now. So we are trying to make the 3D editing possible in the location. So that previously, like, you know, like if the user want to edit the preliminary alignments, and so they can just work in the plan view. They can capture the point, they can drag it, and so they can just do a lot of editing here. And so we actually made it possible for them to work in the 3D view directly. You see here, and so I'm already in the editing mode. And so I can do the same thing at the plan view. So I can capture this point. See, I can move it and anchor it. And so it's gonna just do the updates. And also I can also like edit a new one. See here, I'm just trying to edit a new control points. And so we can, like as usual, we can delete one of them if we don't like them. And yeah, it just like allows the users to do the editing in the 3D view in place directly. And so they don't have to switch back and forth. And so they can do whatever they prefer. And so, yeah, that's a preview, but I mean, it's not in the V10 yet. And so we are trying to make it faster and stable in the V11. And yep, that's it.
Yes, and well, thank you, Jay. Regarding timing, I'm sure the next question is when, and the answer is we don't commit to schedule for development items, but it will be in the V11 version 11 beta release. And again, I'm not going to commit to when that will be visible, but probably you'll be able to get the version 11 beta within a few months once we start releasing items like that. So beta testers, send us an email if you're interested. Any more questions?
I do have a few more questions. Is there a way to make it look like a forest of trees with symbols?
Absolutely, and I wish I had an example ready, but in the terrain module, well, here too, because I could have these, let me just go back to terrain and change my towers into trees and maybe duplicate a few of them. So back to the terrain module, I've got some towers here. Let me just create a few trees. So I don't think I need these features anymore. Let's get rid of those. And I'm going to draw some trees. Just make it a feature, and it should be draped so it lies on the ground. It should be displayed in 3D, and the name is optional, but nice to be able to find it later. So I just draw this thing, and oh, it's connected. That's probably not necessary if I want to see 3D features. So I could turn off the connected checkbox and apply. And now I'm just creating a bunch of points. And those points are naturally draping onto the surface. They're here, but you can't really see them until we turn on a symbol. So let's turn on a tree symbol. How about a cedar tree? There we go. Now they look pretty small compared to those towers, and there's an option to change the size. So let's go into the cedar tree options and bump it up, I don't know, a factor of 5. Looks like the original height was 6 meters, so let's make them a little bigger. There we go. And there's my trees. And to create more trees, just create more points. And if you want trees that are different shapes and sizes, currently we've only got 2, I think, cedar and pine. We're looking to add a deciduous tree. And if you want different sizes, you just create a different feature and change the size. So this feature has trees scale 5. If I copy and paste it and then move it. Okay. Speed key's not working. There we go. There. Now I've created a copy of that Did I create a copy? Maybe I didn't. Okay, now I've created a copy, and that one can have different sizes and different trees. So I could change the scale factor. I could even change what type of tree it is. And like I say, we're working on adding more. So yeah, and those trees appear in your drive-through. They can illustrate. Well, one thing, when you're in edit mode, then you want to go and modify the position of the 3D window. You have to get back into selection mode before you can do a rotate. And there's a speed key for that. If you just type the control, hold the control key, it goes into select mode automatically. So if I wanted to rotate this, I just hold the control key and rotate. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, we still have a lot of questions. Okay, so can we add our own symbols or request new ones to get added?
Yes, you can request new ones, and we are working, and I can't demonstrate this one because it's not in beta yet, but we are working on a user interface to allow you to add to this list. These trees and towers and symbols, some of them, not all of them, refer to what is a standard 3D file called an OBJ file. And if you provide us with one of those files, we can add it to this list. Programmers can do that now. And in future, we're hoping you as users will also be able to do that and expand this list with your own OBJ files.
Okay, I think we have more questions here. It says, can you hide line on the fly through?
Oh, hide the line.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. It might be something we should look into. Yeah, the center line doesn't look so bad on the road, but it looks kind of funny on the fly-through to see this line going through space. Probably making it into a line that has less points in it. You know, like a line with just a couple of dots. Do we have a none in here? No, there is no none. Yeah. So maybe, but my suggestion would be to try a few different line types and see how it looks. And yeah, maybe we need to work on that and make it possible to turn that feature off. I'm pretty sure you can't. Oh, I've got the wrong feature selected here for doing a drive-through. That's a bad idea. Any other questions?
Yes. Can you add object along the design corridor?
Objects like symbols, I'm assuming. Yes. I mean, I've just added some trees. Other objects, these are 3D symbols, but we've actually got facets now in the terrain module, and you can build some really fancy objects with facets. A good example of that would be a bridge. Now, do I have a bridge example I can open in a hurry? I think so. If I'm lucky, it'll be under B for bridge. There we go. And I'm just going to open this one. So this feature here, it's not one feature, it's a bunch of features, is a collection of facets. And it's a three-dimensional object. Unfortunately, we don't have a tool for automatically grouping this thing. So you have to be a bit careful when you're selecting it and moving it to make sure you get all the parts, because it's easy to move bits of it and leave other bits behind. But if you do manage to select it all, this object can be stuck in the middle of an alignment, and you can see it in your location module as a background in the 3D views and so on. It's a very powerful tool. So similar to the symbols, but not the same. That's using our 3D facet property to represent things like facets are planes, and you have to build a collection of planes to make an object like this. Not for the faint of heart, but once it's saved as a terrain, then it's quite easy to use.
Okay. More questions. I like this. Can you add a station to the alignment?
In the 3D editing, I'm not sure of the context. Yeah, you can insert a station when you're, or is that for the location? You can certainly add points when you're editing in 3D. You know, this feature here, I think it's in the background. Yeah, that's in the background. So let's go back to our how about this one? This will work. So if I'm editing this in 3D, I have to select the feature and go into edit mode. And yeah, I can, not only can I modify existing points, but I can insert a point. So that adds a new station. And you can see, whoops, I think I just created the point in the plan window by mistake. Yeah, I can. Oh yeah, one thing about editing in 3D, don't forget to turn on track mouse so you don't see it move. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was expecting to see. So I inserted that point. And we're going to do that. That is available in the beta version of location module for editing in 3D. And it, of course, it works fine in the terrain module on version 10, which has been released. You can insert points, and they are stations, of course, along the alignment.
Great. And I think this is a very specific question for you, Dave, because it's Dave. Thinking back to the early 90s, where the forest engineer got RoadEng at places like Nimkish logging camp, did you ever think it will get to be such an amazing tool?
No, and the person asking that question must be almost as old or perhaps even older than I am. So congratulations for staying alive to this old and wise age. I had no idea we'd ever get to this kind of stage. If you had told me that I was going to write some software that would allow me to view the road in 3D like this and rotate and build these models that I've just showed you, I would have said, no way, that's way too hard. We'll never do that. So yeah, it's been a pleasant surprise to get here. And of course, I've had lots of help too. So the final question, and we should probably shut it down soon. So type in your questions if you want an answer. Can you reverse the stationing on an alignment? And this is unrelated to the 3D view, and I'm sorry, I have to say no to that. So if I designed this alignment the wrong way, so the stationing here is starting at 0 down at this end, and it gets bigger as I go up, and I wanted to reverse it, it would be quite a procedure. The answer, the quick answer is no, you can't. It's pretty important to get the direction correct when you start. There are some tools. One thing you can do is you can export this as a feature and reverse it in terrain and then re-import it as an alignment, but then you lose all the things like the templates and widenings and curves, and yeah, I mean, it's just not very satisfactory. The good news is we are working on a reverse function, but I really can't say how long it will take before it's ready. There's a good question about location design editing, and I'm going to defer to Jay on this. The question is, will editing in 3D be horizontal only, or will we be able to toggle between editing horizontal and vertical intersection points?
Like right now, and so before we adding this new feature, and so we actually think about this question, and so like as our first step, and so we think it makes sense just to bring in the horizontal alignments into the 3D editing. And so I don't think it's a good idea to bring in the horizontal and vertical, the control points all together into the 3D view. And so right now it's like to make it just simple and clear, and so we just make it working for the horizontal alignments. And so for the vertical alignments, and so we're gonna think about it. And so we want to make it just like a easy to use, not confuse our users. And yep.
So let me elaborate a little bit. We don't know because we haven't tried it out, and we want to test it and make sure that if we do allow vertical editing in the 3D window, it'll probably be a mode. You don't want to do both at once, or you get really confused, because the mouse the mouse doesn't tell you which way you're moving in the 3D window. You can't really tell whether you're going up or down or left or right. So it would probably be a mode. And if it looks like it's going to work and it's going to be easy to use, yes. If not, we'll stick with the horizontal alignment for now. Let me just say thank you all for attending today's webinar. The webinar will be available on YouTube probably by tomorrow. And as mentioned earlier, if you have further questions, anything that's been posted now will be answered by email. And if you post a question on the YouTube channel, we can respond to that as well. Thank you all very much. Bye now.
Bye-bye.